21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
As a consumer, I went looking for a product where I could find views from the left and the right and the center all in one place, and it didn't exist. I just wanted one place I could go and get multiple perspectives on one political story, and nobody was doing that. And so I decided I would try and build it. My name is Isaac Saul. I am the founder and CEO of Tangle News. I'm by trade a political journalist, a reporter. I got my start at the University of Pittsburgh school newspaper when I was in college, and then traveled to Israel, worked in New York City for a little bit at some mainstream news publications. And I basically saw that the industry was broken. I mean, I felt like the way people were producing the news was not reaching consumers in a balanced and honest way. And I thought that I could build something that was better. And I had a concept for a news organization where we would tackle one big divisive topic every day. We'd explain the contours of the story, give people facts, deliver the news in a neutral voice. And then we would share some arguments about that story. So some views from the left, some views from the right. And then as an act of transparency, I would write my own personal opinion and my own take at the end of every newsletter or news story and just share an individual perspective as somebody whose politics are pretty moderate and pretty centrist. And that is what makes up the core of what we do, and the Tangle newsletter and the Tangle podcast and the Tangle YouTube channel. The way it works right now is that if I want to understand a policy issue, like say Trump is proposing to build a wall along the border, if I want to get a balanced, nuanced understanding of that issue, if I want to hear the best arguments for and against that policy proposal, I have to go read the New York Times and then go read the Wall Street Journal. I have to watch Fox News and then I have to watch CNN. I have to maybe go listen to some conservative talk radio and then go listen to my favorite liberal talking head on YouTube. And I could spend 12 hours doing this. I could go to all these different news sources. And at the end of that day, at the end of 12 hours of researching this one story, this one policy proposal, I could feel like I have a really balanced understanding of all the best arguments out there. Or I could go find a news organization that was just doing this all in one place. And what I wanted as a consumer was one place, a one-stop shop to just get multiple perspectives on these issues. And I didn't see many organizations trying to do that. The ones who were trying to do it, I didn't think they were doing it well. And so I had a concept for building a product that basically made it so you didn't have to spend 12 hours a day. Instead, you could spend 10 or 15 minutes with us. And when you left, you would have a really good understanding of the best arguments from the left and the right and the center on these big divisive issues that we face in American politics. My experience from working at other news organizations was that working to drive advertising revenue and also having major investors was not a good way to create a healthy newsroom and a healthy news company. So I made the decision very early on that I was going to rely on subscription revenue as the primary revenue driver for our business. And the way that we do this is we give away 80 or 90% of our content totally free. So most news organizations, maybe they let you read one or two articles and then they paywall the rest of their content. They're basically doing the inverted model. They're paywalling 90% of their content and they're giving away 10% of it for free. And what we do is we give away about 80 or 90% of our content for free and we paywall 10 or 20%. And the rationale, my thinking behind that is that I want people to see more of our content because I know we have really good content. And the more that people see of the work we're doing, the more likely that they're going to want to support us with their money. The more likely it is that stories that we're sharing will get traction or go viral or be widely shared. And the more likely it is that we'll eventually land in front of people who are willing to give us a shot, but don't want to pay up front to test our product out. They want to try it for free first. So what we do is we get people into the habit of using Tangle as a news source. So we have Monday through Thursday newsletters that are free for anyone. Anybody can sign up for them. And then on Fridays and Sundays, we release editions that are behind a paywall. And these editions are often more premium content. They're exclusive interviews. They're really deep dives on specific topics. They're reader requested content. They're reader mailbags. And we'll share previews of them and then we'll put a paywall up and people will decide to subscribe. So one of the really cool things about our business is that we've actually converted close to 20% of our readers on our mailing list, which is one of the best in the industry. Most news organizations who have paid newsletters, they'll convert maybe 5 or 6%, and we're more like 15 to 20% of our mailing list ends up jumping to paid subscriptions. So it's been a really effective way for us to drive revenue. And over time, we decided to diversify that revenue. So we did introduce some advertising to our free newsletter. We also have a fiscal sponsor. So we take some nonprofit funding for very specific projects that we are trying to roll out to the public. But 90% of our revenue comes from recurring subscription revenue from memberships. And that's the way that we keep our ship afloat. First of all, we are a mission-oriented organization. Our goal is to bring people who disagree with each other politically under one roof and have them all trust the same news organization, which is really difficult right now in our current political space. Most people want news that reaffirms their priors. They want news that just tells them what they believe and confirms all the things they already think about the world. And we are asking our readers to actually challenge themselves, to challenge their own views by exposing themselves to a wide range of political perspectives, which is really difficult. So we have to make them curious. We have to show them that there are really good arguments that are out there that they might not agree with. And we have to ask them to participate in this exercise, even though it might be uncomfortable for them or they might not like it. What I found from doing the work is that the longer people read Tangle and the longer they participate in our product as a news organization, the better they are at changing their minds, being open-minded, having charitable perspectives about people they might disagree with. Basically, they realize that the world is not black and white and there's a lot of nuance and they're not right about everything. And I think that's a really powerful thing for people to experience. And it helps them sort of turn the temperature down a little bit on the news. It makes it so that they don't go as crazy while they're consuming political news as maybe they used to. This is obviously a really big challenge. We run into people all the time who might read one edition or listen to one podcast and they hear something they don't like and they unsubscribe or they cancel or they leave. And we try to re-engage those people with individual reach outs actually. And we try and say, stick around for a week and then see if you don't like it, because you might really like tomorrow's edition, if even if you disagreed with something you encountered today. But on the whole, we're asking people just to trust us and to give an opportunity to a new news organization that has been built in order to address some of the bias we see in the mainstream media. Now, we are at an interesting stage. We're a little over 5 years old as a company. We have over 150,000 newsletter subscribers. We do over $1 million a year in revenue. So we are successful in a lot of ways, but we're also still a small fish in a pretty big sea. We have 150,000 people who get our emails, but 3 million people watch Fox News every night. So while I'm really happy with our success, we're also still very much an independent, more niche kind of news organization, and one that is speaking to an audience that is still smaller than some of the really big mainstream Goliaths. I hope long term that changes and we grow to a point where we do have an audience like they do and we have the kind of influence that they do. But for now, we're still sort of this scrappy, smaller, independent publication that is trying to punch above its weight a little bit. And, we are really competing with people who have a lot more resources than us and a lot more money, and we're still succeeding. So I'm really happy and proud of that fact, but it's definitely difficult. Obviously, the work that we do as a daily news organization covering these topics is really taxing. It's tremendously difficult. We have a small team. There's 5 of us who are full-time workers, but we are covering an incredible amount of news, and there is always a news story out there that we have to be on top of. So as a team, the way that we get through it is that we lean into our values and our mission, which for our readers is transparency, it's honesty, it's correcting the record when we're wrong, it's showing our work. So if we come to a certain conclusion, doing our best to share the process and explain to our readers how we got there so they can trust it better. But there's no doubt that being immersed in the news like this is really difficult work. So we also are sure to take care of ourselves. I mean, some of the most important parts of what we do as a news organization involve taking breaks. We have vacations that are built in around when Congress is on recess. We talk a lot about divvying up work. So a lot of us are, doing even amounts of work across the team, not necessarily one person or the other being burdened with an outsized amount of work. Everybody on our team is pretty talented in different areas. And so we share a lot of the workload, whether it's writing or editing or doing social media stuff or press work or PR. And then personally, I can say, I have a lot of practices that sort of help me manage my stress. Like I meditate, I turn off my phone and my work computer at 6 p.m. every day and stop responding to messages and don't read the news late at night. So I get a break in the evenings, which gives me time to think and process and relax a little bit and then come back in fresh and recharged the next day. And on the weekends, I actually try and disconnect because I know that, the news isn't going to meaningfully change between Saturday and Sunday. And it's okay if I take Saturday off and spend time with my friends. We have to release a newsletter on Monday, but I can catch up on Sunday and I don't need to be totally locked in for that time period. So a lot of the stuff that we do is just about pacing ourselves. I've seen a lot of other entrepreneurs and a lot of other newsletter creators start and burn out in the last 5 years. And the reason that we're still here and the reason that I'm still here is that I've been really focused on being here for the long run and being able to do this work in a sustainable way, which means, taking care of myself and sharing the work and delegating a bit with my team so it doesn't all fall onto me. And that's not an easy thing for founders to do. But if you want to do something like this for the long haul, it's really the only way to do it. I think the really important thing for us is that we are both interested in building a sustainable, profitable business. Our team, we all want to make money, we all want to succeed. And it would be great if somewhere down the road, we sold the company or expanded in a really big, meaningful way where we could all make a bunch of money. But while we're doing that, we also are trying to create a news organization that can actually change things and that can help people process and deal with the news in a way that's a little bit healthier and adds a nuance and makes it so, especially here in the United States, people are less divided. So we have a mission statement that we care about. We have a North Star that we're fighting for. And I think the fact that we have that makes it a lot easier for us to get out of bed early in the morning or stay up late because we hear from our readers. We hear from the people who use our product who say how meaningful it's been, how much it's changed their life. And when you know that that's possible, it helps motivate you to do the really hard work and to keep reinvesting, even on the days where you might be exhausted or tired or burnt out. And when you're with a team where everybody shares that vision and you get some of those breaks and you get some of that time off that's necessary to stay fresh, it becomes a lot easier to keep coming back every day and doing the work.
21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
Imagine a space where triumphs, trials, and tales of entrepreneurship come alive. Welcome to the 21st Century Entrepreneurship Podcast, a gold awarded journey hosted by Martin Piskarik, connecting with listeners in 95 countries and ranking in the top 0.5% of all podcasts. Join our exclusive community, elevate your perspective, and embark on the path to success.